In the heart of Las Vegas, Elvis Presley had just finished a high-energy performance under the blazing spotlights. Rather than heading straight for his lavish suite, he slipped backstage, craving a moment of solitude. Winding through corridors that echoed with applause from the distant showroom, Elvis found himself near the hotel's service entrance. The muffled clang of pots and pans signaled a nearby kitchen. Intrigued, he meandered into a dimly lit corridor that few guests ever saw. He heard laughter from the late-night kitchen crew, the smell of freshly fried chicken wafting through heavy doors. Yet, as he neared an exit sign, he spotted a silhouette huddled on the floor, a young man clad in torn jeans and a frayed jacket, head bowed as though the weight of the world pressed upon him. Elvis paused, uncertain if the figure was merely resting or hiding. He inched closer, and the youth stirred, startled by the sudden presence of a glimmering performer. Recognition flashed across the boy's face. Clearly, he knew who stood before him. But instead of excitement, he seemed more worried that he was intruding somewhere he shouldn't be. "Evening, son," Elvis said gently, his southern drawl wrapping around the words. The young man blinked, then stumbled to his feet. Embarrassed, he mumbled an apology for being there, but Elvis waved it off. "Ain't no trouble. What brings you here?" he asked. Tattered sneakers and weary eyes hinted at a tough journey, and Elvis felt a wave of empathy. Sometimes a single conversation could change a life. He knew that better than most. As the kitchen doors swung open, a burst of warm light and clanging dishes spilled into the corridor. One of the cooks noticed Elvis and, wide-eyed, offered a friendly nod. Smiling, Elvis gestured for 2 plates of food, some leftover hush puppies and fried chicken, perhaps. The cook, too starstruck to refuse, hurried back and returned with a small tray of late-night kitchen fare. Elvis turned to the young man, who introduced himself as Danny. Danny admitted he'd hopped a bus from a small town with dreams of making it in Vegas, only to find the city's bright lights didn't always shine on everyone. He'd been drifting from place to place, running out of money and hope. Silently, Elvis passed him the plate of food. "Eat up," he said softly. Danny wolfed down the food as Elvis settled on a nearby crate, setting his own plate aside. He recognized that Danny's hunger extended beyond the physical, a longing for direction and belonging. Elvis recalled his own youth in Tupelo, Mississippi, when he'd had little more than a guitar and a dream. Many had doubted him, yet a handful of kind souls showed faith. Between bites, Danny offered fragmented details of his story. A broken home, a distant aunt who couldn't take him in, failed auditions at local clubs. Each disappointment had led him here, hungry and alone in a hotel corridor. "I thought I'd find my break," he said, voice trembling slightly. "But I guess not everyone's cut out for showbiz." Elvis gently shook his head. "Now, son," he drawled, "don't let a few closed doors fool you. Sometimes a little faith is all you need. Faith. And a willingness to keep on trying." Elvis leaned forward, resting his forearms on his knees. The faint hum of the hotel's night shift buzzed in the background, trolleys rolling, distant conversations fading in and out. "There was a time," Elvis said, voice quiet, "when I was just a boy with a guitar, singing on street corners, wondering if I'd ever catch a break. Folks told me I was wasting my time. Danny's eyes widened. This was Elvis Presley. How could he have ever felt lost or doubted? Yet hearing him speak so earnestly made it all more real. Life's a funny thing, Elvis continued. The people who shine later often start in dark corners, and sometimes the only difference between making it or breaking it is someone saying, "I believe in you." Reaching into the pocket of his sparkling stage jacket, Elvis pulled out a small promotional card, an address scribbled on the back. It belonged to a friend who managed a modest lounge, always looking for new talent. "Tell him I sent you," Elvis said. "He'll give you a fair hearing, maybe a start. Could be singing, could be another skill. Whatever you got, son. Don't let the lights out there make you think your star can't shine." Stunned, Danny stared at the card. A mixture of excitement and doubt twisted across his face. Elvis placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder, the gold rings on his fingers reflecting the corridor's fluorescent glow. "But promise me one thing. Don't give up before you've truly begun. Everybody's got a stage. Sometimes you just gotta find it." The late-night hush thickened as Danny took the card. Grateful tears shone in his eyes, hope blossoming where despair had lurked. The corridor felt charged, as if carrying the promise of a new chapter. Elvis stood, adjusting his flashy outfit, preparing to return to his suite. Before leaving, he offered a warm smile and a final nod, as though silently saying, "I see you, and you matter." Clutching the card, Danny watched Elvis depart. The king of rock and roll disappeared down the hallway, sequins catching the light for just a moment longer. No cameras, no crowd, just a simple conversation in a quiet hotel corridor that might alter the course of a young life. He was an unparalleled performer, but above all, a man of heartfelt kindness and generosity. Rest in peace, Elvis Presley. Your music and compassion still guide countless souls.